Ancient Spartans and 20 unimaginable events from their lives that few people know of. Most Americans know of Molon Lave, meaning come and get them. In other words, you want to conquer us? Come and take our weapons. Molon Lave. And of course, we know that they were ferocious fighters from the age of, as soon as they were weaned from their mothers, they were taken, and they were up to 40 years old. They were in military training, ready for combat to protect their families and territory. This is the tomb that was discovered around 1950s, 60s in Thermopylae in the hot gates of Greece by the archaeologists who found the tomb of the 300. We know that their king was Leonidas and of the 300, and their task was to delay the Persians from the Persian horde from conquering Athens to the south. And they did that very successfully. They did delay the Persians. Please support my Patreon channel since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. My Patreon channel will have 5 different videos from my YouTube channel every day. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Now, the Spartans had 2 kings. I guess one of them, Leonidas was one of them at the time, and he went with the 300 to fight against the Persians. They were unfortunately betrayed by a traitor, Ephialtes, meaning nightmare in Greek, who told the Persians of a secret passage that the Persians took in order to destroy and conquer the Spartans and Leonidas, the 300. Now, in ancient Sparta, the 20 unimaginable events that from their lives that few know of. To be a Spartan citizen, one had to meet 6 conditions: to have been born to Spartan parents, to be fit and healthy at birth, to have been subjected to Spartan education, to have been elected a member of the food group, to have actively participated in the group activities and the city, and not to fall into a misdemeanor that involved the deprivation of his political rights. The Spartan citizens, that is, the Dorians, were the only ones who had political rights. Now, according to the book of the Maccabees of the Old Testament, Spartans were of Hebrew heritage, okay? They were sons of Abraham. And when the Maccabees needed their assistance and their allegiance, and they were allies with the Spartans says, yes, we have a document showing that you are our brothers and we are your brothers. Whatever you have is ours, and whatever we have is yours. So from the Old Testament book of the Maccabees, we know the Spartans were Hebrews from the tribe of Dan, Danites, okay? Now, their only occupation, according to this article, their only occupation was the war, and the permanent threat was the uprising of the Helots. They lived very modestly. They were known for their Spartan austerity and cultivated close solidarity between each other. Women held an important place in the Spartan society, while luxury and greed were considered dishonorable. Between the ages of 7 and 20, Spartans were required to submit to the Spartan education provided by the state. And this is the 20 unimaginable facts from the life of ancient Sparta that few know of. 1. The exemplary army of Sparta was the child of a legendary legislator named Lycurgus, who said that Sparta had, quote, a wall of men instead of bricks, end quote. 2. The quick and sharp answers of the Spartans are the origin of the word laconic, which comes from Laconia, that's the administrative capital of Sparta. 3. The law of the Spartans discouraged from seeking material wealth. Thus, coins were made of iron instead of gold or silver. This also made it impossible to steal because iron is heavier. 4. The Spartan warriors had to be strong, and that is why the men and boys stood naked in public and their bodies were inspected. If someone did not meet the standards, they were badly beaten and criticized. 5. Cowards were treated very badly in Sparta. they had to give their place to others, and very often they could not find a wife. 6, their shields were very important, and whoever lost their shield was punished very severely. This was done because with a shield, they protected not only themselves, but the whole army. Let's remember that they used to do that shape of a turtle. So their shield, of course, if you didn't have a shield, how could you protect yourself? You know, the thing that looks like a shield. The whole thing looks like a turtle. Now, 7, the red color they wore symbolized their pride. They also intended to frighten their enemies. And they also had long hair, which they really combed beautifully before they went into war. Now, 8, the Spartans were famous for their long hair, which was a sign of their freedom. Perhaps they had long hair because they somehow associated themselves with the Danites. Remember the tribe of Dan? And one of them was, the judges was Samson and his long hair. Samson was a Danite of the tribe of Dan. So I would venture to say that, of course, the Spartans had long hair because they were of the tribe of Dan, and they knew that one of their judges, the most famous one, is Samson and his long hair. Now, so they had long hair. 9, like the samurai, the Spartans had better commit suicide than surrender to the enemy. 10, men got married after the age of 20 but could not leave life in the army until the age of 30. So whoever got married had to live away from his wife for a few years. 11, because of this, many Spartans became fathers before they even saw their wife in the light of day. 12, they used to hunt Ilios as part of their training. 13, 12, the helots, yes, as a part of their training. 13, the powers of the kings were limited, but one could go with the army into battle while the other ruled the city. As for example, we know in the hot gates of Thermopylae in Greece, when Leonidas and his 300, Leonidas was one of the kings, and the other one stayed, the second one stayed in Sparta. 14, the women of Sparta had many freedoms, more freedoms than the women of the rest of Greece. They trained them very intensively so that they were ready for the arrival of their child. 15, the babies were examined very carefully, and if they thought they had a problem, they would expose them to the elements, and in order for the child not to, if they were defective and in various ways. Now, 16, all Spartans had to become professional soldiers, and so the children were removed from their homes at the age of 7 to start training. Item 17, the boys were beaten with a whip for a whole day and competed with each other for who would last longer. 18, by the age of 12, boys had to be able to survive on their own in nature without any help. And this is again one of the details that was very, very clearly shown in the movie 300. 19, they encouraged children to steal in order to stay alive, but if they were caught, they would hit them very badly. In other words, you had to be cunning. You had to be able to survive any way possible, but not be caught. 20, although the kings were descended from royal blood, they were judged as citizens and followed the same laws as the rest of the community. This is from ancient Greek and the Apocalypse of John, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article, Diadrastika. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you for your support.